Daniel stood at the edge of the viewing platform, staring down at the sprawling alien city below. Towers of shimmering metals stretched into the sky, reflecting the twin suns that bathed the planet in golden light. The air buzzed faintly with energy, a hum of technology that made his skin tingle. He had traveled across galaxies to reach this place. The court of the legendary alien queen, known for her wisdom, her strict rules, and her unmatched power over the inhabitants of this world. It was Daniel's first time on this planet. And already he could feel the eyes of the court upon him. Humans were rare, here almost unheard of, and even his reputation as an explorer and scientist could not entirely protect him from suspicion. Yet he held his head high. Humans, he reminded himself, had qualities the aliens could never fully understand: courage, intuition, and the ability to act when others hesitated. "Sir Daniel," a soft voice called behind him. He turned to see Mara, one of the Queen's attendants, floating lightly toward him. Her skin was a pale shade of blue, almost translucent, and her eyes shimmered like liquid silver. "The Queen requests your presence in the central hall. There has been an incident." Daniel raised an eyebrow. An incident? He followed her down the wide stairs, his boots clicking softly against the polished metal. "What kind of incident?" Mara shook her head. "You will see. Words cannot describe it." By the time they reached the central hall, Daniel understood why words had failed. The room was massive, filled with alien nobles in flowing robes of deep violet and silver. Their eyes were fixed on a small figure at the center, an alien girl, perhaps 8 years old, with delicate features and soft golden hair that shimmered in the light. She was crying, her tiny fists balled as she stumbled forward. And then, without hesitation, she ran straight into Daniel's arms. "Father," she shouted, her voice trembling with emotion. The hall went silent. Even the Queen, seated high upon her throne, froze mid-breath. Daniel's mind raced. Father? He had no children here, no family connected to this world. And yet the girl clung to him with a desperation he could feel through her small frame. "What?" Daniel stammered, lifting her gently so he could see her face. Her eyes were wide, shining with tears, but there was a familiarity in them that made his heart tighten. I don't understand." The girl buried her face into his chest. "Father, I found you. I've waited so long." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Daniel noticed the Queen's hand tighten on her armrest. Her usual calm expression replaced by a mix of astonishment and concern. She leaned forward slightly, her gaze fixed on the girl and Daniel. "Your Majesty," Daniel began, trying to steady his voice. "I don't know this child. I have no connection to her." The Queen's voice, smooth but commanding, filled the room. Silence. The nobles immediately fell quiet. "And yet, she calls you father." Daniel looked down at the girl again. I can only promise that I will protect her. That is all I know." The girl's crying softened, but she did not let go. "You must protect me," she whispered. They said I could never survive alone." Daniel felt a pang of concern. Survival? On this world. The palace was beautiful, but it was not safe from political intrigue and hidden dangers. "Who told you that?" he asked gently. "I don't remember. Only that I had to find you," she said. Her voice was small, fragile, yet full of determination. The Queen rose from her throne. Her robes shifted like liquid metal, and her presence filled the hall. "This child is extraordinary," she said slowly, her eyes narrowing. "Her genetic markers, they should not exist. Yet here she stands, and she claims a human as her father. How is this possible?" Daniel shook his head. "I don't know. I swear, I've never seen her before." The Queen's gaze softened slightly, but only slightly. Perhaps it is instinct. Or perhaps something more. Daniel gently lifted the girl slightly away from him so he could see her fully. Her small hands gripped his jacket, her eyes wide and searching. "I promise I will not let anyone hurt you," he said. "Not here, not anywhere." The girl's face brightened for a moment, but then she shivered. "They will come," she whispered. They said I must not trust anyone. Daniel frowned. Who? Who said that? I don't know, she admitted, hugging him again. But I knew. I knew you would find me, Father. The Queen's expression hardened. This child may be the key to something ancient. Something humans and aliens have long forgotten. We must study her, learn her purpose. And you, human, you must guide her. You may be her only protector. Daniel swallowed. He had faced danger before. He had survived hostile worlds, treacherous missions, and deadly creatures, but he had never been responsible for a child who might hold secrets that could change the course of an empire. The weight of it pressed on his shoulders. Very well, he said finally. I will do my best. He looked down at the girl. But first, you need to calm down. We'll face everything together, okay? She nodded, wiping her tears on his jacket. Together, she whispered. Over the next few hours, Daniel learned that the girl's name was Lyra. Though she did not know who her parents were or why she had appeared on this planet, her memories were fragmented, flashes of light, sound, and fear, but always leading back to the human she now called her father, the Queen. Fascinated, allowed Daniel to spend time with Lyra, though she kept the palace under watchful eyes. Scientists and scholars examined Lyra, confirming what Daniel suspected. She was part human, part Talion. A hybrid created long ago by experiments thought lost. Her abilities were subtle, but remarkable. She learned rapidly, could anticipate danger, and seemed to understand emotions in ways aliens did not. Despite the palace's grandeur, Daniel focused on one thing, keeping Lyra safe. He taught her simple things first, like how to walk without slipping on the polished floors, how to use her senses to observe danger, and how to speak in calm, clear tones. Lyra absorbed everything like a sponge, her golden eyes always fixed on him as night fell. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, and the palace was bathed in a soft violet glow. Daniel carried Lyra to a small chamber provided for him by the Queen. You will sleep here tonight, he said gently. I will stay nearby. No one will harm you. Lyra hugged him tightly. Father, thank you, Daniel smiled softly, feeling a warmth he had never experienced. He had faced death in countless worlds, but this responsibility was unlike anything he had known. It was terrifying and humbling all at once. From the shadows of the palace, the Queen watched silently. Her face was unreadable, but inside she felt a stir she had never felt before. Humans were fragile, yes, but their courage, their instinct to protect, their ability to inspire loyalty, these qualities were extraordinary. Perhaps Daniel was more than a visitor. Perhaps he was something the alien empire needed, something they had never seen before. The night passed quietly, but Daniel could not sleep. He sat by the window, staring out at the city below, thinking about the path ahead. Lyra's appearance was no accident. Something had drawn her to him, and something told him that humans had a role in this alien world, far greater than anyone realized. As the first light of the twin suns touched the towers, Daniel made a silent vow. He would protect Lyra, discover her origins, and face whatever dangers awaited them, no matter the cost. Humans had always thrived in the impossible, and he would prove that courage, empathy, and ingenuity could change the course of worlds even here. In the court of the alien queen, and somewhere deep in the palace, the queen whispered to herself, perhaps, humans are stronger than I ever imagined. The morning light of the twin suns spilled into the palace, painting the high halls with gold and violet. Daniel had spent a restless night thinking about Lyra, even as he had tried to rest. Her small face, full of trust and fear, kept appearing in his mind. Something about her was extraordinary, more than just her hybrid nature. There was a spark, a life force that seemed to resonate with him in a way he could not explain. He found her waiting for him outside the chamber, her golden hair catching the sunlight. Father, she said softly, holding his hand. Her grip was firm but gentle, and Daniel felt a shiver run down his spine. She seemed to draw strength from his presence, and in turn, he felt stronger, more determined to protect her. Good morning, Lyra, he said. Are you ready for today? Lyra nodded. I want to know everything, Daniel smiled. Everything? He led her to the observation deck that overlooked the city. We'll start small. First, we need to understand who you are, and then maybe the Queen will help us understand why you are here. The palace was quiet, almost eerily so. Daniel sensed eyes upon them, and indeed the Queen's advisors watched from afar, their expressions a mix of curiosity and caution. Humans were fragile, yes, but they could also do things aliens could not: think creatively, act unpredictably, and inspire loyalty. Daniel felt the weight of those qualities pressing upon him. He knelt beside Lyra. Do you remember anything before arriving here? Lyra shook her head. Only flashes. Lights, voices, and fear. But I knew I had to find you. Daniel frowned. Find me, but how? You've never met me before. I don't know, she admitted. Her voice was small, almost a whisper. I just knew. I felt it in my heart. Daniel took a deep breath. The Queen had called her extraordinary, but he began to understand just how extraordinary. This child, part human, part Talion, had instincts humans could not explain. Her intelligence was remarkable, her senses sharp. She seemed to understand danger and emotions intuitively. Very well, he said finally. Let's start with some basics. Watch and listen carefully. These things will help you survive and help us understand who you really are. The day passed with Daniel teaching Lyra simple observation skills, memory exercises, and basic problem solving. She absorbed everything faster than he expected, her eyes shining with focus. Even the aliens watching from the upper gallery could not hide their astonishment. Humans could be clever, yes, but Daniel's patience, guidance, and calm demeanor had an effect that the aliens could not comprehend. By midday, the Queen herself approached. Her presence was commanding, yet there was a hint of curiosity in her eyes that Daniel had never seen before. Human, she said, her voice even but firm. Tell me, do you understand the child's origins? Daniel shook his head. Not yet, Your Majesty. But I believe she was part of a human-alien program long ago. Experiments. Perhaps genetic collaborations. Someone wanted to create a being capable of bridging both our worlds. She survived somehow, and now she has found me. The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly. A hybrid. And yet she shows traits of humans far beyond what we thought possible. It seems your kind carries a strength no alien can imitate. We survive in impossible situations. We improvise, adapt, and protect those we care for. That is how we thrive, even against overwhelming odds. The Queen studied him, then nodded slowly. Perhaps. That is why she called you father. Not by blood, perhaps, but by instinct. Something within her recognizes your qualities. Something she cannot find in her own kind. Lyra tugged on Daniel's hand. Father, will they hurt me? Daniel shook his head. No, not while I am here. I promise. But you must learn. Knowledge and strength will protect you more than anything else. The Queen, for her part, had withdrawn slightly, leaving them alone for a moment. Daniel used the chance to observe Lyra. She was growing in confidence, yet her eyes still held fear. The palace was no ordinary home, it was a place of power, politics, and hidden threats. He knew that some factions would see Lyra as a weapon or a threat, and he could not allow that over the next few days. Daniel worked tirelessly with Lyra. She learned quickly how to navigate the palace, how to recognize subtle changes in the environment, and how to listen to instincts when danger approached. Even simple lessons like noticing the slight change in a guard's posture or the faint hum of machinery became exercises in awareness. One afternoon, as they walked through the palace gardens, Lyra paused. Father, she said, pointing toward the fountain, I feel something. Danger. Daniel followed her gaze. At first he saw nothing unusual, just the water reflecting the sky. Then he noticed a small drone hidden in the shadows, its sensors scanning the garden. Good eye, Lyra, he said, pride in his voice. You sensed it before it moved. That is instinct. Keep trusting it. Lyra smiled shyly. I am trying. Daniel knew that her instincts were remarkable for her age, But even more remarkable was her ability to combine instinct with learning. She could anticipate danger, process information, and act all in moments. The Queen's scientists watched from afar, whispering among themselves. It was clear this child was beyond ordinary. That evening, the Queen summoned Daniel to her private chambers. The room was filled with soft light, and she gestured for him to sit. "Human," she said, "I have watched you with this child. You care for her not out of duty, but out of choice. That is rare. Your kind often surprises us, but you show courage and loyalty beyond reason." Daniel bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I only do what is right. This child trusts me and I cannot fail her." The Queen studied him for a long moment. "Perhaps humans are capable of more than we imagined. Lyra's survival may not be luck. It may be that the universe intends for humans and aliens to work together. For now, you are her protector. But remember, not all will accept her existence or yours." Daniel nodded. "I understand, and I am ready." As he left the chamber, he felt the weight of the Queen's words settle over him. He had always believed in human potential, but seeing it recognized by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy was humbling. He returned to Lyra, who was waiting quietly by the balcony. "Father," she said softly, "do you think they will accept me?" Daniel lifted her into his arms. "Some may not. But as long as we trust each other, we can face anything. Humans survive in impossible situations, and we thrive where others fail. That is our gift. And you have that gift too." The bond between them deepened with each passing day. Lyra laughed for the first time since arriving at the palace, her voice like chimes in the wind. She learned to play simple games, solve puzzles, and even assist Daniel in minor tasks. Her curiosity was boundless, her mind sharp, and her heart full of trust. But not everyone in the palace watched with approval. A faction of alien nobles whispered among themselves, suspicious of Lyra and Daniel. "A human teaching one of our own?" one said. "She may be extraordinary, but humans are unpredictable. They cannot be controlled," another nodded. "If the Queen truly favors the child, then the balance of power may shift. We must be cautious." Daniel was unaware of their plotting, focused entirely on Lyra. Yet the tension in the palace was palpable. Every step, every conversation could be observed, analyzed, and potentially used against them. It was a dangerous game, but Daniel had faced danger before. And he trusted in the combination of human ingenuity and Lyra's instincts to guide them. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, Daniel taught Lyra a new skill, reading patterns in the palace's security grids. She watched intently, her golden eyes reflecting the light. "Father, I think I understand," she said. "I can see where danger might come." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. You are learning to see what others cannot. That is how humans survive. Not by strength alone, but by knowledge, awareness, and quick thinking." Lyra hugged him. "I want to protect you too," Daniel smiled, feeling a mix of pride and fear. "You already do, Lyra, just by being yourself." That night, as they watched the twin moons rise over the city, Daniel realized the truth. Lyra was more than a child. She was a bridge between humans and aliens, between worlds, and perhaps between futures. And together, they would face whatever challenges awaited them, showing that the human spirit, combined with courage, trust, and love, could change the course of empires. The Queen, watching from her chambers, remained silent. Yet deep within, she felt a shift of recognition that humans, fragile as they seemed, carried qualities that even the most advanced aliens could not replicate. And she wondered what the future would hold if humans and hybrids alike. Lyra could be guided by someone like Daniel. The palace was vast, mysterious, and full of potential threats. But for the first time, Daniel felt truly ready. With Lyra in his care, he understood that their combined courage, intelligence, and humanity could face any danger, even one that might shake the foundations of the alien empire itself. And somewhere, in the shadows of the palace, the whispers of dissent began to grow, setting the stage for challenges that would test their bond. Their wits, and the extraordinary power of the human spirit. The palace was quieter than usual that morning, but Daniel sensed the tension in the air. The whispers of dissent among the alien nobles had not disappeared. They had only grown stronger. Some feared Lyra's hybrid abilities, others feared Daniel himself, a human influencing the most powerful child on the planet. Yet despite the murmurs, Daniel walked through the halls with confidence. Holding Lyra's hand, "Father," Lyra whispered, her golden eyes wide, "I feel something, danger." Daniel nodded. "I feel it too. Stay close to me and trust your instincts. We will face it together." They moved through the grand corridors, past statues that glimmered in the sunlight and fountains that played soft music in harmony with the palace hum. Yet beneath the beauty, Daniel sensed the silent threat. Someone was watching, planning. His instincts, honed from years of survival across hostile worlds, told him that a challenge was imminent. It came sooner than he expected. As they entered the training hall, a vast space filled with holographic simulations and alien weaponry, a squad of armored guards appeared, blocking the exit. Their weapons hummed, energy blades poised. The lead guard stepped forward. "Daniel," he said, his voice cold and formal, "the Queen has not ordered your presence here. Step aside, or the child will be taken into custody." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Take her. She belongs with me. No one will harm her, understand?" The guard's expression did not change. Orders are orders. Before Daniel could react, Lyra stepped forward, her small frame radiating determination. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the hall. "He is my father. You cannot touch him." Daniel was stunned. Even the Queen had never spoken in his defense like that. And yet here was Lyra, asserting herself with courage beyond her years. Her instincts, combined with what Daniel had taught her, gave her an aura of strength that the guards hesitated to challenge. Seeing the hesitation, Daniel acted. He moved swiftly, guiding Lyra behind him. Using his knowledge of human agility and strategy, he led them through a side door, narrowly avoiding the guards' attempts to intercept. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly, her senses alerting them to each movement, each potential obstacle. Together, they moved like a single unit, human and hybrid working in tandem. They reached a hidden corridor. Unknown to most palace inhabitants, Daniel paused to catch his breath. "Lyra," he said, "that was impressive. You saw the danger before it could reach us. That's how humans survive. That's how we thrive." Lyra smiled, small but proud. "I want to protect you, Father. Always." Daniel's heart ached. She had been abandoned, hidden, and yet she had found him. Her trust, her loyalty, and her courage inspired him more than he could explain. He realized, then, that humans were not just survivors. They were protectors, guides, and examples of bravery that could influence even the most advanced civilizations. Meanwhile, back in the throne room, the Queen watched the events unfold through palace surveillance. She remained silent, her expression unreadable, but inside she felt a rare emotion: admiration. Daniel's courage, combined with Lyra's abilities, had prevented a potentially catastrophic confrontation. Humans, she thought, were extraordinary in ways her people could not replicate. Daniel led Lyra to a secure chamber he had discovered earlier, one used for strategic planning. It was small, yet comfortable, with reinforced walls and surveillance screens that allowed him to monitor palace activity. "We're safe for now," he said, setting Lyra down, "but they will not give up easily. We need a plan." Lyra leaned forward, her eyes serious. "Father, I can help. I know things. I can sense patterns. I can anticipate their moves." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. That's what makes us strong. Humans survive by thinking ahead, by combining knowledge with instinct. And you are the perfect example of that." Over the next hours, Daniel and Lyra devised a strategy. They would need to confront the faction of nobles that opposed them, but they could not rely on brute force alone. Humans excelled at ingenuity, improvisation, and strategy, and Daniel planned to use every advantage, as the sun dipped lower. Casting long shadows across the city, the nobles made their move. A squad entered the chamber, expecting to catch Daniel and Lyra off guard, but they had miscalculated. Lyra had already noticed their presence, and Daniel had prepared a defensive setup using palace technology. "Father," Lyra whispered, guiding Daniel to a side panel. "They are coming from the west corridor. We can block them there." Daniel smiled. "Good observation. Let's do it, using a combination of human ingenuity and Lyra's instincts." They redirected energy barriers to block the corridor, trapping the intruders without harm. The nobles stumbled, frustrated, and surprised. Daniel stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. "Leave now, and no one will be harmed. You have seen the strength of humans, and you have seen what we can do together. Do not underestimate us." The nobles hesitated, their pride wounded but their logic telling them they could not succeed. Slowly, they retreated, leaving Daniel and Lyra standing side by side. Lyra looked up at him, her eyes shining. "We did it, Father. We won." Daniel knelt down, hugging her gently. "Yes, we did. But remember, Lyra, strength is not just about victory. It's about courage, trust, and knowing when to protect those you care about. That is what makes humans extraordinary." Word of the confrontation spread quickly through the palace. The queen summoned Daniel once more. She entered the chamber quietly, her usual commanding presence softened by thought. "Daniel," she said, her voice measured, "I have watched your actions. You have protected Lyra, not through force alone, but through intelligence, courage, and loyalty. Humans are remarkable. I underestimated your kind." Daniel bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I knew was right. That is what humans do. We protect, we survive, and we adapt." The queen's gaze shifted to Lyra, who stood quietly by Daniel's side. "And she," the queen said, almost in awe, "is proof that our worlds can coexist. She carries the strength of both human and alien within her. Together, you may change everything." Daniel nodded. "That is our hope. Humans believe in possibilities, and we never give up even in the impossible." The queen remained silent, but for the first time, Daniel saw a smile tug at the corners of her lips. She had witnessed human courage firsthand, and she understood its value in ways that went beyond strength or technology. As night fell over the palace, Daniel and Lyra stood on the observation deck once more, watching the twin moons rise. The city below glittered like a sea of stars, calm after the day's turmoil. "Father," Lyra said softly, "do you think we will be safe now?" Daniel hugged her tightly. "We will always face challenges, Lyra, but as long as we trust each other, we can overcome anything. Humans survive and humans thrive, even in worlds where danger seems unstoppable. And together, we are unstoppable." Lyra smiled, resting her head against his chest. "I'm glad I found you." Daniel felt a swell of pride and determination. She was more than a child, she was a symbol, a bridge between humans and aliens, living testament to what courage, trust, and intelligence could achieve. And he knew that with her by his side, nothing could stop them. Somewhere in the shadows of the palace, the queen watched them, still speechless, but deeply enlightened. She had always ruled with logic and power, but today she had witnessed something beyond strength, the human heart, capable of inspiring trust, courage, and loyalty. And a hybrid child whose instincts and potential could change the fate of the empire. Daniel tightened his hold on Lyra. "No matter what comes next, we face it together." And in that moment, under the twin moons, it was clear humans were extraordinary. Not because they were the strongest, not because they had advanced technology, but because they could inspire hope, protect what mattered, and rise in the face of impossible odds. And the galaxy, for the first time, would witness the full power of the human spirit.